Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing my weekly review for Season 5 of Breaking Bad, the final season. This one will be a review for Breaking Bad Season 5, Episode 12, which is called Rabid Dog. Okay, and as always, my reviews do contain spoilers, so for anyone who has not seen the episode yet, you may or may not want to watch this. Alright, so for everyone who's seen it, want to hear my thoughts on it, I thought it was overall another very good episode. I don't think it was the best episode of the season. In fact, I might say so far it might be the weakest episode we've had so far in the second half of Season 5. Not that it's a bad episode, but the show has been so exciting that this one did feel a lot slower than some of the events we've dealt with so far this season, like the whole Walt and Hank, fight in the garage, Jesse going AWOL, getting ready to burn down the house. Now, some people last week were making some speculation that at the end of or basically the scene that we saw out of chronological order, where Walt has hair and goes back to see the house to get the ricin, what is it, like little vial or whatever, from behind the light switch, I believe it is, or light switch or power outlet, one of the two, I forget exactly. But they mentioned that the house was not actually burned down. That was pretty smart because, as we got to see in this episode, even though Jesse had gassed the place and was about to do it, it was a pretty nice reveal in this one that we found out that the way they did it and showed it sort of afterwards, that actually Hank was the one who interrupted him, and that's why he didn't finish the job and actually burn it down. Because it seemed really strange. It's like, well, why wouldn't he burn it down? He gets that far. Does he all of a sudden just have a change of heart and stop? No, that wouldn't really make sense. So something must have happened, and I thought it was a pretty cool reveal that it was, in fact, Hank that was able to go ahead and stop him from actually burning it down. So I did like that. That was good. And the way they showed that was, for me, probably the highlight of this week's episode. That being said, though, the rest of the episode was a little bit hit or miss for me, especially the part with Marie going to see the psychologist, things like that. I mean, that for me felt like filler in a lot of ways, because it's like, I tend to think that when this is all done, like in 4 episodes from now, so we don't have a long time left, just four episodes left, things like that will be totally forgotten and just not really important, or one of those things that's just like there and doesn't really serve the plot. It's just kind of filler to fill out time. At least that's the way I felt like some of the things in this episode were. In terms of the plot and everything, I mean, it was some good developments. Getting to see that Jesse has actually changed sides, and even though it's against the rules to rat, and he's not a rat, and he hates cops and everything of the sort, he is to some degree cooperating with what Hank wants him to do. And I do think it's an interesting angle that that Hank has got Jesse now on his side, and at least willing to entertain some ideas of some things they can try to lock up Walt and get him. The end of the episode was really exciting, and it was really kind of cool the way they showed it. You're as a viewer, you're thinking that when Jesse's walking up to Walt, that the dude standing to the right side, the bald dude with the black, was one of Walt's guys waiting for Jesse to walk up so that he could shoot him or something, or just do him in. Again, Jesse knows what Walt is capable of, and it was kind of cool to see him explain to Hank and to Gomez, like the things that he does, and the way he thinks ahead, and he's able to execute these things, even though Hank was right, at least at that time, that Walt does really care for him, and he sees him, I think, sort of as like a second son, kind of. Obviously Walt Jr., but as like another sort of, like, he's taken on the role of a surrogate father for Jesse, figure anyway, and he sees it as his duty to try to take care of him, even though he knows that he's basically a rabid dog at this point. So I like the way the ending all played out. It was pretty well done, especially when Walt walked by that guy, and then the little girl runs up and says, "Daddy," and then the other random guy picks her up. So that was good stuff. The reveal at the end that Walt is going to call, basically is called Todd and ask for his uncle again for another job. So, and also the threat on the phone, which was pretty good stuff. So I was feeling it for the most part. I wasn't feeling it to the same extent that I was earlier this season when you had Hank versus Walt, and you're like, oh man, what's going to happen with the rest of the season? This one felt a lot more like just like a regular episode. It didn't really feel like anything special. Last week's I felt like did feel special because you had that big turn in Jesse, that big change. Now sort of like just the continuation of that, and really I think I'm just more excited to see how the series is going to wrap up, all in all at the end. Because since we've only got 4 episodes left, to see what's going to happen and just to see all the events play out. This one to me felt like a slower episode where it was more like a regular, like a normal episode of Breaking Bad, which is not bad because it's a very high quality show. And every episode is like close to movie quality, but I definitely don't feel like this one was like a movie quality pacing where you had a lot of these events in it that were really just like not bad. I mean, another good example would be the scene with Walt Jr. and Walt beside the pool at the hotel. It was a touching scene to see them hug and all that good stuff like that. But again, it sort of felt like they're trying to draw that part out. They're trying to draw it out a bit. Granted, it's not a season finale, so maybe my thoughts of it are a little bit too high. Because granted, the whole thing could be wrapped up probably within a couple episodes. So there's going to be a few here and there. Maybe next week's episode will be similar, or the one after that. But then the final couple, I'm assuming, are going to be character deaths and all kinds of craziness happening. And then eventually, in the end, probably Walt die. People have been predicting for a while that maybe Jesse will be the one to kill Walt and get him. And, he does have a lot of advantages over a lot of other people because he knows Walt better. He knows what he's capable of, so he's not going to underestimate him. And he's going to try to, whatever he's going to do, whatever idea he's got here at the end to try to get him. It sounds like it's going to be good. And maybe he'll use some of Walt's own techniques against him. That would be very interesting to see because he's learned from him. He knows what he's capable of, but we haven't really seen Jesse handle a situation like this yet, unless you count Gale, where he just showed up at his door and just went bam, and that was basically it. So, I mean, aside from that, what else can I really say about this episode? I mean, I could go through it, but a lot of it was pretty slow. Let's see. I made a couple notes, but I really don't think that there's really any need. All right, so you got Walt returning home. Like I said, that was all good stuff, how they showed that out of chronological order. That was very exciting at the beginning. Walt trying to trick Skyler. Of course, it doesn't work. Even Walt Jr. doesn't believe him. I liked Saul and his moment talking about Old Yeller. That was kind of funny. And also that, of course, Walt would not entertain that, at least at the beginning, until after he realized when Jesse called him to threaten him the last time that he doesn't have much of a choice. He's going to need to put him down. He is a rabid dog. Let's see. Okay, going on from there. I think I touched on pretty much everything else. Yeah, I mean, aside from that, the dialogue wasn't bad, but that was really all we got. So maybe it's just because the show's ending pretty soon that my expectations are a little bit too high. I think that in the long run, though, when we get to those last 2 episodes, that we'll all have really high expectations. I think the show will meet those expectations and maybe exceed them. But this for me was just a regular, okay, decent episode. Nothing spectacular. That being said, though, I'm still going to give it an 8 out of 10. It's just that, shows like Breaking Bad, I think, compared to most shows on TV, if you put it on the same scale as like most other shows on television, you still have to give it an 8 out of 10. It's a great show. It's a great series. But shows like this, some of the episodes they have, like last week's and some of the others at the beginning of the season, they're pretty damn close to like movie quality, like perfect, like 10, 9, this kind of thing. This episode for me was just an 8. So it was just good, but not the best we've seen. And I'm sure the final few episodes will be even better than this one. Anyway, those are pretty much all my thoughts on this week's episode of Breaking Bad Rabid Dog. Thought it was good, but not the best we've seen so far this season. And 4 more left, and then that will be it. Basically a month. So let me know what you guys think is going to happen, how it'll all wrap up. Do you think that both Jesse and Walt will survive all the way through to the end? I don't think that's possible. I think one or the other has to go down and die. Maybe it will just be Walt. Maybe Jesse will survive. Anyway, that's pretty much all I got to say about this episode. I'll call it here. That's it for this video, guys. I'll see you for the next one. This is Trev, and I'm saying peace.